as that's about to come up on screen. Who flashed that fight? First one to ban, they are on the blue side. Lotus returning to the red side. And,
Yeah.
we'll
I would like to see
what they
another
do.
jungler other than Diana. I think there's just other options right now. They could run something like the Xin Zhao, or actually, I don't know. Did Xin Zhao get nerfed this patch? I haven't really read the patch. Oh, yeah. Lotus banned him. Oh, okay.
So we're seeing the exact same bans that we saw in the last two games thus far. Seraphine, though, going to get banned away, so slightly different from Lotus here, banning out that Seraphine, not wanting to play against it again. I mean, I personally think the Yumi was a little bit more of an issue that game, but I understand ban out one of the enchanters so they don't get the double enchanter set up, perhaps. Who flashed that fight, though? First pick. Is this the pick away Diana?
I don't know, because the game 3 and game 1, the Diana wasn't super impactful. I don't think you need to ban it out. But
this was one of the picks Stingus looks good on in the series versus you guys.
Yeah, he just plays so far back in the lane and just chucks bombs, and then the support can just roam, do anything, because he's just really safe. What they did against us was they picked the Camille Galio combo as well. So Camille ults, Galio ults, Ziggs ults all onto one carry, and then they just die because you can't outplay that. I tried, but it didn't.
I mean, if they do Ziggs Camille Galio again, obviously that Galio can be either support or mid for that combo. So it would require blind picking a Camille, but it is Viego getting picked up here.
He doesn't have a lot of terrible matchups. The Camille's very strong into a lot of champions, and even then, if she loses, like, it shouldn't be that hard if you know what you're doing with her. The Leona's a really good pick. I think she can force onto the Ziggs pretty easily, especially if they're going to be looking for like a Galio lane. She does pretty well into him too. I like this from Lotus though, because I mean, it's just Viego is just so broken right now.
Nope, it's Maokai. Most likely in the top lane is once again Maokai into Camille's Maokai into Leona's kind of a Vega, so they're not going to go with that combo, but they do have set up for the Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb with the Wild Growth from Maokai.
I'm kind of excited for this Viego because with those two champions, if he gets the reset, like if he gets to take over either of those, he becomes such an issue. Because Maokai has such great base abilities. Ziggs, if he takes over a carry, he always takes their items and does all their damage. And I think this is going to be a really big Viego game if he can get going.
Xayah once again getting picked up after game number 1 with this pickup. I mean, Waffle will look good on it. It's not as safe as, you know, as I mentioned, it's still level 6, but you don't need to be safe with the Ziggs lane, right? Like, both of you guys are just in there to kind of get out. This does get a slightly earlier power spike for Lotus to pair with the Viego. So I do quite like that. Wukong ban coming out towards the top lane, so they think it's a support Maokai for who watch that fight.
Yeah, the thing with Xayah is that she kind of struggles into Ziggs early just because of how short range she is, and like she's always going to be in engage range for Maokai basically. If that does end up going bot lane, I think they could force really easy on the Xayah pre-6 with Sejuani, but we saw Accelerate play. Was Accelerate play Maokai top earlier? So that might be top lane, but I think they have a lot of tools to shut down the bot lane this game if they do take that Maokai, even though it's a bad matchup into Leona.
Well, Camille getting banned out, as you mentioned, that Camille Galio was just so instrumental to the win against you guys there. Cho'Gath, though, potentially going to be picked up for the top lane. Not a top laner we see a lot of, so it will be instead given to a Shen. You have a go button with the Leona Shen combo. It's not as strong as, say, a Hecarim Shen, for instance, but this is a lot more engaged, which is what Lotus was kind of missing. And it's engaged from outside the jungle. This Viego, we still don't know where it's going. It could be jungle or mid for Lotus. We'll see where it goes.
My team was telling me that they pretty much gutted Viego's laning phase, so he's pretty much only good in the jungle. So I like to see that, but we need some strong AP damage from the mid lane here for Lotus because they have some beefy champions on the side of who flashed that fight, and you picking all AD into that team is not. But with the Mordekaiser coming out, it does look like the Maokai is going bot lane. Mordekaiser is, obviously a counter pick for the Shen matchup and just single out someone in a fight. If you ult the Viego, actually, and he can't really get the resets because he doesn't get assists on any of the enemy champions.
So Ziggs mid.
Oh.
Okay, that's a good hold on the flex. It does mean that they weren't prepared for this Kai'Sa pickup. Kai'Sa and Maokai actually a fairly strong lane, but you're still into Leona, so it's not amazing. And once again, like, Kai'Sa's a lot shorter range than Ziggs. This isn't the pick that we kind of wanted to see Stingus. And now that they know that it's Ziggs mid lane, they can take the counter pick as they please. Gonna be the Syndra to punish the Ziggs' extremely squishy nature in that early game.
Yeah, I think Xayah Leona should completely dumpster Kai'Sa Maokai. I don't think they have really any room to win that lane matchup unless Kai'Sa dodges literally everything, and even then, Xayah should just out auto her with the feathers coming out. But it's really going to be on the jungle matchup, how they both play through their bot lanes, because there's a ton of setup. But Lotus has a bunch of setup everywhere on the map for this Viego, so I think they're going to really look to enable him this game.
Yeah, I mean, Not Yoshi has had decent games on the Diana. Viego's a little bit more aggressive than that Diana in the early game as well. Can make some ganks happen using the mist, so it's going to be, I think, a little bit more explosive from Lotus in this early game, which is antithesis to the style they played in the last 3 comps. But at the same time, right, Who Flashed That Fight took the Lotus comp to Lotus and beat them on it. This game, they're playing, I think, something a little bit more team fight oriented as well. This time, Lotus going up with the skirmish. You have Shen, you have Xayah, you have Syndra, you have Viego. All of whom, Viego's a good team fighter, but like all of whom are extremely good at skirmishing and at picking. So I feel like Lotus swapping up their style for this game number 4.
Yeah, I kind of like this because if you have such a strong team fighter as your AD carry, why not just have the team fights earlier? Just outplay them earlier and get him to where he needs to be earlier. So I'm excited for this game. I think the Lotus shouldn't be down 3 dragons this game, because I think they have enough cryo and enough early fighting in them to actually contest.
We're about to get into the in-game draft in a moment, but we can talk a little bit about some of these lane matchups. Kind of alluded to this Zig-Syndra matchup being slightly Syndra favored, but Syndra has fallen out of style over this past season. So what's your take on this?
So it's because Ziggs can just stand so far back, it's up to Syndra to be able to land the long-range stuns to enable the Viego ganks. But Syndra by herself, I don't think she has the damage quite by herself anymore like she used to. But she's always been great at enabling her junglers to gank her lane for her. It's all about whether or not he can land the stuns or not. Because I think the Viego Syndra 2v2, I mean, they're gonna win that 2 versus Ziggs Sejuani.
Okay, and then, Sejuani and Viego. Viego obviously going back to the jungle. Sejuani, not a pick that we've seen a lot of this season as far as tank junglers are concerned, because tank junglers haven't been super common. So kind of what are your thoughts here?
I think it provides such a huge front line, because the team on Lotus, they don't shred through tanks early in the game until Xayah gets Lord Doms, Syndra gets Void Staff and whatnot. So I think picking the tanks for Who Flashed That Fight is very valuable. They can just soak up a lot of the mid-game damage.
And, we talk about this bot lane, as you mentioned. Xayah Leona should end up winning over the Kai'Sa plus Maokai combination as we finally are into the in-game draft. And Mordekaiser's kind of pricking to Shen, so let's talk win conditions for both these teams.
I think with Lotus's team comp, they're going to be looking to get some picks with the Syndra stuns and then with the Viego. With Who Flashed That Fight, they're going to be looking for big engages with the Sejuani and Mordekaiser ulting a key target to take them out of the fight. Because I think
that key target is Waffle, correct?
Maybe. It depends on how the game goes. I think if you can take Viego out of the fight, you can take maybe even JVL out of the fight. I think depending on who's strong on Lotus's side and how strong Dust to Dawn is as well.
If Jaeger kills Mordekaiser in Realm of Death, it still gives him a reset, right?
I believe so. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But if Baka can get a huge ult onto a nice target, you know, Kaisa can always come in flying. Ziggs has a lot of damage that he could just drop onto a stun target. Even though Shen's ulting, I don't think it'll be enough. I think it's just all about execution in these team comps. It looks like Stingus is going to be going mid lane again. I think Donut Maker's going the ball lane. This is very interesting.
I mean, it worked last game, I guess. I mean, we kind of were talking about this when we saw the Ziggs getting picked up last week. Was Ziggs is more a Stingus pick than it is a Donut Maker pick. When we first saw it being picked up, so perhaps they're like, okay, Stingus, you're better on this Ziggs than Donut Maker is. We're going to put you on the Ziggs mid lane. Give you that comfort and be able to potentially do well against JDL. Obviously, last game, mid laners got traded blow for blow, mostly due to jungle pressure. This time around, Ziggs is a little bit safer than the Seraphine pickup, as he has the satchel charge to be able to disengage very easily. JDL also had a much safer pick on the Syndra, as he does have the Scatter of the Week. That said, predictions going into this game, who do you have winning?
I think Lotus has it this game. I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like they're gonna pull it out. But
all right, and with that, we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, DJ Necrox and RMC bring you game number 4 of Who Flashed That Fight versus Lotus.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is game 4 of the Excellency Heavy League Finals between Who Flashed That Fight and Lotus. 2-0 start to the series for the guys in red. And then Stingus and Donut Maker pulling off some fancy maneuvers to make sure they keep themselves in the series.
Yeah, they did enough in that game. Necrox, it was a bit of a slow one. It was low damage, but it worked for Who Flashed That Fight, and that's all that matters in a final, in a best of 5. They keep themselves alive, and they live to see another day. I think the big thing we need to talk about, of course, the same thing going on here, where Stingus is going to be on the Ziggs. Instead of being in the bot lane, he'll take that to the mid lane, and Donut Maker will be in the bot lane with that Kaisa, which I think we all kind of agree here, the three of us, that one surprised us.
Yeah, I mean, you're picking that into a Xayah, who's supposed to be the counter to dive comps, and a Leona as well. I know Donut Maker's good, but there are hard counters sometimes in the game. They're rare, but they exist. Now, I'm just happy here, DJ Necrox, that we're done with the enchanters. None of that healing crap. Yes, we have tanks, and there is a very tanky composition coming out of Who Flashed That Fight, but there's also a lot of damage here. And I wanted to draw our attention a little bit to Syndra and Mordekaiser, because both of them just got buffed on this patch. Syndra has much more spam ability with the Dark Spheres, has a lot more poke in lane, and it's actually a much better choice now in terms of trying to nullify opponents in the push and trying to find kills. And Mordekaiser, his shield is indestructible, got a bit of a buff as well, as if he needed any against the Shen.
Sharing the love here between the two teams and the 11-15 patch. We'll see which buff champ comes out on top, but for now, it is Stingus in mid lane. Hopefully we can get that swapped around in just a second. He is again start of the tier. It is double cleanse again for Donut and Stingus. They are looking to make sure they cannot get locked down by any of the CC, and there's a whole hell of a lot of it. For Lotus, is level 2s in the bot lane should come in favor of the Lotus too. Does have to be wary. Kaisa can get locked down pretty early on. One more melee for either way, but it's Dokdo and Donut. They're going to force him off the wave instead.
Yeah, and for the side of Lotus as well, watch Yoshi's pathing here. He did start at the top side on the red buff, came down here, and there's no vision coming out of Donut Maker and Dokdo right now. This is an eminently gankable lane here, and I almost feel like Yoshi needs to hurry up before the wards start to come down here. Even skipping a buff might not have been the worst option, considering you have a Leona with Ignite to help set you up early.
We'll see if they can make that play happen. Yoshi now entering the river. We'll see if he can do it, wrapping himself in a tri-brush. There is no vision here. We'll see if Kiwi or Waffle give this one away by stepping a little bit too far forward, but Who Flashed That Fight sense it. You can feel that they want to back up. The Flash Zenith Blade does not land, and Kiwi goes just wide.
As you were alluding to, Necrox, it feels like Who Flashed That Fight knew that was coming. Their positioning was giving it away, right? They knew that they wanted that Leona engaged. They felt that the jungler was around. I don't know if it's comms, I don't know if it's instinct or a mixture of both, but nicely done in this early game, and that's going to buy a lot of time for Baka.
I'm going to chalk it up to my brethren there, the minions, because I think Yoshi's timing also was a little bit unfortunate. The moment he steps out that bush, the minion wave actually catches him show in there. So immediately Donut Maker knows he's on notice. He's got to get that flash ready. In this case, did manage to sidestep very nicely. Now mid lane does have both junglers looking here.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at on my mini-map. JBL may be caught out. Ooh. There's the slow. Gonna find it, but they cannot have enough damage on him for now. Singis out of mana means there's not much more follow-up. Double scout of the week. Baka's going low. Having a headbutt his way out means he will escape at single-digit HP, if not just above. But regardless, the 2v2 in mid goes the way of Lotus.
And there is that 2v2 power of the Syndra. How much damage did that scatter the weak do to Baka? Allows the Conqueror to come through for not Yoshi. And even a level down on the jungler, they are able to outduel that and force Baka away. Nicely done, and it should allow Yoshi to get back in his jungle and clean up the camps that he had left at the beginning of his clear.
And I think that's one of the things that Who Flashed That Fight has to be very aware of here. Where are your strong lanes? Where can you actually make things happen? And Ziggs, as an early game champion, really doesn't have the damage. And Sejuani doesn't either. You've got great CC, so if you're going to be looking for early ganks, for Baka, you're looking at the top side for Dust to Dawn, or maybe bot side, but you really got to work that bot side yourself here. You won't be able to rely on Doctor. Whereas for Lotus, your ganks in all your lanes are so much better. Yoshi has damage as Viego. You've got gank assist top, you've got gank assist bot, and mid lane, you've got gank assist and damage to boot.
Okay, maybe looking for a gank here on Dust to Dawn. The taunt's gonna land. The Spectral Maw will not.
Flash.
Thanks to a good flash from Dust to Dawn, but again, burning those critical cooldowns is pretty good. Dusk now is in a gankable position if they do want to return up here to the top side. The bot lane should be just safe for any return plays from Baka because they're under their turret.
Yep, and there's Dragon up and available as well, right? You know that Yoshi's top side, you know that this is basically a free Dragon. Not to mention JVL just backed as well. So you just need to rotate your members in. There's no ward for a convenient TP for Lotus. They did just sweep it out.
Yeah, easy peasy and a nice start for Who Flashed That Fight. Basically even in gold score, but you'll like that Mountain Dragon. It will help you a little bit in the laning phase. Not the best early game Drake, but it does start the stacking, and we've seen Who Flashed That Fight use Soul very to its max potency, right? Multiple times with macro calls. Didn't work out for them in game 1 at the end of the day, but game 3, they really did use it very well. So already trying to give themselves some of those macro advantages that they have largely relied on for a lot of their good plays throughout this series.
All right, we'll see what they can do with it. Objective number 1 going the way of Who Flashed That Fight. Honestly, not much in return for Yoshi unless he can make something happen. But yeah, that E is a big blaring signal saying, get the hell out of town. There's a jungler en route. And Donut Maker and Dokdo respect that gank potential, especially with what Kiwi can do to lock down. And they just simply walk out. Waffle's now in a great spot, though. Yoshi's still here. Can they find the engage? There's the ignite onto Waffle, who still has flash. There come the teleports. Dokdo's going to fall. It's first blood to Lotus. But what else can they find? The rest of the team fight. Dust to Dawn throwing in one member into the Death Realm. Scattered to the wind is Baka as he will fall. Yoshi's going to be burned down finally by the Mordekaiser passive, but now he's on the run. Kiwi's at 1 HP, thankfully to his W, but a snipe with a Void Seeker from Donut will send him straight down to the dirt. One more scout is going to come in. Unleashed hell onto the enemy AD carry does JVL. Dust to Dawn still alive. Accelerate still on the front line, but everyone will disengage.
Okay, and the teams are fully committed here. None of this waiting around that we saw last game, Necrox. They're just going into it. And I do want to highlight the way they kind of played that. Waffle Wheel and Accelerate not really on the same page. We saw the Sandy had come down, but because Waffle Wheel had escaped over the wall, I believe flashed over it, it actually ended up putting Accelerate in a position where he couldn't join the fight effectively. And that really hurt them here. And we get to see it here. First of all, Docto going in. They actually knew Yoshi was there. Yoshi flickered in and out of vision for a second, but they just thought we can get it. And then the flash coming out from Waffle Wheel. Look at how Accelerate shows up to the fight. Now, you're behind the wall. You don't get to influence the rest of the fight. You had to dash, flash over to dash.
Really good flash as well from Donut to get out of that taunt.
Yeah, it really was. And that flash to dash, though, allows him to escape, right? Now you can see he's just hanging out at the bottom of this fight. He's actually going to be the one to get this snipe onto Kiwi to pick up the gold. So you get that onto your AD carry. This is a little bit of an overextension. And level 6 is in for JVL as picture in picture.
A little bit of a roam here coming out from both the supports. They're all tunneling around Herald here.
Yeah, we want the fight on to accelerate. Here we go. He's going to be caught out. There's not much room to run. And because he had to flash earlier, he cannot escape. Who flashed that fight? Picking up one more.
This is not good for Lotus. They had the early plays, right? They got the extra kill in bottom lane after Donut Maker stuck around. But that's just misposition. That's just miscommunication. Completely pincered, no way out, no flash whatsoever. And just overestimating their skirmishing strength at this point in the game. And underestimating the numbers that Who Flashed That Fight had in the area. Another macro call going in the favor of WFTF.
Yeah, I think I chalked that one up to more macro, just not rotating quick enough because Doctor was already there way in advance. Stingers might be dead here.
Oh, there's a lot of damage. One more Q, one more Dark Sphere. JVL's got a solo kill onto Stingus. You lose in bot, you lose in mid. JVL now may lose his life, but a good scat of the week's gonna get him out. Dab on my friend, outclassed.
Fair enough there. Really well played from JVL. I mean, he got really low, and I was holding my breath there, waiting for the engage to come out of back. I mean, there was no ultimate, so you kind of got to force that, and he should have had enough damage. Meanwhile, while Baka was doing that, Yoshi was just taking a tour in his jungle. The bot side of the jungle now heavily warded up, so Waffle Wheel Kiwiism, they've got themselves a really solid bot lane here as long as they can win it. They do have a bit of an edge, and flash in.
Flash stun on the Donut. He's now in a bad spot. Having to go into the alcove. A nice solar flare. Beautiful escape with the killer instinct, but can they find the kill all the same? Crashing down. Here come the feathers. Pull him back and ripping through the hearts of Who Flashed That Fight fans. It is Waffle Wheel. Who else? Kiwi 1 HP. Waffle alive. They at least trade one back into Yoshi, but Lotus's 80 carry goes wild.
Oh, there's just not quite enough damage on the Ziggs ulti, and also it was dodged by Yoshi. He went down immediately after coming back up, so his resets weren't able to impact the fight too much, but it just was not enough. Too much HP, not enough damage from Stingus. If he picks up one more member there, it's pretty much an even play, but it just could not take out Kiwiism, and Lotus fight back and extend their lead.
And Dragon is just about to spawn here, guys. And on top of that, everybody went back to buy. So there is a bit of a item discrepancy coming out. Not Yoshi now sitting on 2 components here, which do more damage. They can really get in there and shred this down. And it looks like Who Flashed That Fight a little bit late to respond this time. Where is Baka? Still walking through jungle.
I think fighting, or I don't think fighting there would be a bad idea. You'll look at JVL. That's what makes it a bad idea. That is a lost chapter with pen boots.
Still a bad idea.
Kiwiism?
Okay, remember the thing we talked about earlier about Kiwi being suicidal? Yeah, it's coming true once again. Get back on the medication because that one was insane.
Yeah, speaking of bad ideas, we see that one come out. So Kiwiism backing me up here, listening to the broadcast, and that might cost them quite a bit. That Rift Herald is in the inventory for Who Flashed That Fight. They're gonna drop it in the bot lane turret. They'll take a bunch of gold. Ooh, a root Donut Maker!
Oh my Donut! Waffle Wheel! Just basically solo killed the enemy 80 carry under his turret. Now Yoshi's forcing a flash away from Stingus, and Lotus have claimed this bottom lane time and time again. It was all over from when Waffle Wheel was signed onto this squad. The man is 3-0.
You just gotta respect trying to go under a turret like that. Yara Kaisa, your range isn't very high, and I want to point out Unleash Power is still available for JVL, was available the entire time. And as a Kaisa, you have 0 counterplay to that. All they have to do is press R. So the moment you get chunked to half health, you're done. You have to pay respect to that. They do get the first turret though. That's good. And Who Flashed That Fight for me finds themselves a lead for, I believe, the first time, I want to say in the game, but certainly past the 7-minute mark.
Amazing stuff here from Who Flashed That Fight. They're still ahead in gold somehow. It's crazy that they still have a gold lead. Flash out from Doke from the solar flare. Kiwi, maybe that one was a little bit better.
Well, I mean, Necrox, they got a full bottom lane turret. What do you mean? Why are they ahead on gold? They rammed a Rift Herald into 5 plates on the bottom lane turret. I mean, that'll do it for you. That's like a full 1,000 gold into your back pocket. So I think that, I mean, right, it's the macro calls that are keeping Hooflash to back off the memeing on Necrox. It's the macro calls
I got you.
that
Also,
are
top
keeping
lane,
Hooflash
by the
that
way.
fight.
That's a big gold discrepancy.
Yes, a lot of CS there. The Riftmaker now complete as well, but those are the plays that are keeping Hooflash that fight in this. The macro calls have kept them this gold lead because largely the skirmishing has gone in favor of Lotus. You can see that kill score, and you can see that in both of the 3 kill carries, one with a completed mythic.
And in the foreseeable future, this really should be the way it goes. Lotus with that Syndra here, with that Leona, they do win these smaller 2v2, 3v3s. Where Hooflash Fight is really going to get to start shining is when they can start to line up the Glacial Prison with that Mega Inferno Bomb. And after we see Stingus actually pick up his first mythic. He doesn't have enough damage right now to make it work. Accelerate getting caught.
Wow. Ooh, Accelerate put into the Death Realm, taunt over the wall. Dustin Dawn has the option to flash forward, but the rest of the team is around. Surprise! It's a Hooflash that fight party, and Lotus were never invited. Now they're looking for a way in. All the same, Kiwi has gone suicidal once again, but the rest of his team here to make sure he stays alive. Locked up in a glacial prison. Dodo at half HP. Solar Flare to re-engage. Now he's going for it for a little bit more. The feathers are going through. Kiwi's gonna go down. Waffle Wheel still keeping himself alive with the Dust to Dawn flash over the wall, but Lotus cannot get anyone in their fight as Kiwi and Accelerate both fall.
Keep pushing.
Okay, more. It's a 5v3. I mean, Lotus have the HP bars.
Donut at 1 HP, but Yoshi is here on the front line. They grab Dusk instead. Now up into the air goes Waffle. Baka has to flash over, but Yoshi's not done with his prey. He's prowling on Stingus' dead body, and Lotus find 2.
And they find 3. They're still trying to hunt Baka down, but they do back off. Herald is up available, and this is why I said you need to keep pushing. We saw some of the big ultimates come out. The Death Realm being used early, Nature's Grasp, and Mega Inferno Bomb. What do they have left in the tank? It's just Donut Maker, and Baka's got one big AoE CC. Sure, you picked up Kiwiism, all the more reason to press forward, and all they need is that one kill for Yoshi to start getting resets here. In these big fights, they need to make sure nobody goes down. While Hooflash Fight tried so hard to do that here, I very much appreciate Lotus's lack of fear and willingness to push onward.
Really aggressive stuff here from Lotus. Seeing one opportunity, one moment, one re-engage angle. Kiwi, I thought he'd gone off the deep end again, but that one was executed well. The squad was there, ready to follow up. Waffle going aggressive once again, and they turn it around.
I mean, he did have to flash away initially. It worked out in the end. Nevertheless, it is a big, not a big lead. Again, dead even on gold because of the macro play, but big lead in terms of some of the scores on these carries. Again, Deathless are the 2 carries for Lotus. They are getting very strong. They both have their mythic items, and everyone hovering around this Drake. The engage already in. Stingus
Stingus low. There's a Heartbreaker onto the back line, but Kiwi's the first one to drop. They cannot get a reset, and JVL is out of the fight. Stingus now on the run. Accelerate can't go any further. Baka's escaping as well, but Dust to Dawn has found his way into the back line with a beautiful TP. He pulls in Yoshi into Death Realm. There you go. Pulled in and knocked down. Yoshi's no longer around for the Smite secure, which means there is no option to secure Dragon.
Stingus stole the blue buff too.
Oh man, that's just salt in the wound at this point here. And for the side of Lotus, this is what you have to be careful of. We just spoke about the fact that Hooflash Fight, their win con is getting these big wombo combos, this big AoE here. And Stingus now does have that Leandries available. Sure, it's not the big burst of Luden's Echo or Luden's Tempest, pardon me, but when they're there first, they get to kind of keep throwing out that poke. You have to walk into them. And then when you finally actually do decide to commit, you've got to dodge all these big AoE spells. It doesn't work. And Nature's Grass is just so wide.
Okay, Donut using the Killer Instinct, trying to get away, but he does not have any easy way out. Ignite, chicken. And Donut Maker's gone.
Dokdo sitting over here in the bottom river looking at his AD carry like, oh, buddy, oh, no, yeah, you're dead. Yeah, bye. Later. I'll see you later, buddy. 17 seconds. Take yourself a break. Sit yourself down. Grab some water. A little too overextended from Dokdo. Again, on a short-range AD carry. And now, it might be punishing Bach. He can just hop over the wall, but his jungle camps, they are forfeit without the carry with this Rift Herald. And this mid lane, even against the Ziggs, it's wide open for Lotus.
Whoa! Okay, Yoshi's flashing forward, a little bit overzealous. Ziggs ulti clears out the way, but Shelly crashes in. Waffle's in some trouble, going up into the air once again, pulling the feathers back with an Ice Blade collar, but Bach is escaping. Stingus as well, but both at about 5% will have to recall and get back to the fountains to heal all the way back up.
On a knife's edge right now, Necrox. These fights, one misstep, one more, one stun, and you're dead here. And Lotus is just starting to be able to find their groove a little bit. And it's not just the Waffle Wheel show. I want to highlight JVL right now. He's 4-0-2. And if we're looking at, who's got the biggest differentials, it's the mid lane. JVL is up about 1,500 gold right now. And it's showing when he gets a pick, even if it's onto Doctor, even if it's onto Baka, who's the tankiest member right now, it chunks, it hurts, and it's setting up for all the follow-up damage here.
Now Yoshi is another one, right? Those two, the mid jungle, we were talking about the 2v2. Their one item spike is just so much better, right? Ziggs does a lot of damage with one, but he really likes to have like the one-shot damage that comes from multiple items. Syndra can do that too with her R button. Pre-one item, with one item, it's practically guaranteed, and Yoshi is a similar way on this Viego.
And there are two members here that have enough gold to deal with what Lotus have, and it's just Dawn and Donut. Dust can pull in a 1v1. Donut, we already talked about this before, but Donut's gonna have a really hard time executing in these team fights and making sure he can find one member to lock down and kill immediately. It's just too hard for a Kaisa into this style comp to be able to execute perfectly. We'll see what he can do with his gold because he is very fed, but I have my eyes on JVL, on Waffle, the two carries for Lotus, who have been so damn good, and they have the cash to back up that saying.
Donut Maker is almost going to be forced into an awkward position where you are pretty much never diving until JVL uses the ultimate. Because once you have enough Dark Spheres, press R, Kaiser's dead right away. So Donut Maker has been playing these really well by staying at the back. What's more concerning to me is who Flash the Fight has all the options. Why, Lotus? You can see the scuttle.
I mean, maybe trying to get a teleport or something, but teleport's down for Dusk and he's just hanging around, so... Okay, I mean, they set it up and walk away, so no harm, no foul. They'll just make sure that who flashed that fight are paying attention.
I would argue that there's an opportunity cost to trying to start that up. You could have been pushing side lanes. You could have been trying to find pressure. I mean, you had a wave pushing into the bot, but you don't find any of that. Accelerate does not win this 1v1. And it goes back to what I'm talking about with who flashed the fight having more options. They've got the better split push. They've got the better wave manipulation with the Ziggs here. And they've actually got the better upfront burst in team fight. So Lotus right now, they need to find themselves some picks. You have Syndra, which is one of the longest range single target stuns, or really multi-target stuns here. And I want to see that vision set up. That's something we didn't see last game. Look for the pick, find a target, find a kill.
Which is potentially why they hopped on to Baron, maybe thinking they could get some sort of pick as people funneled in, but that's a risky objective to use as bait for a pick, right? You are not a very tanky composition. Shen, the only one that can really tank that up, can't do it at 20 minutes, and that just incites danger from that upfront burst that you're talking about, RNC. So Baron could be a tricky one for Lotus, considering their composition, until Xayah really has 3 items, can't shred it that fast.
All right, and with Baron still on the board because Lotus peeling away, now Dragon is the #1 priority for who flashed that fight. Lotus not in this river, but at least they have some engage tools this time around to work their way in. But it's all about Stingus with the zone control on his Ziggs.
And surprise, surprise, it's who flashed the fight getting, once again, all the vision set up. And how is Lotus going to get in here? They're looking to try and come in from different avenues, which I don't think is a terrible idea, but Accelerate's already in there.
Taunt's gonna land. There's a Spectral Moth, Scout of the Week. There's the Unleashed Power, and here's reset #1 if he wants it. Yoshi going low at about half HP in the Death Realm, trying to keep himself alive. The Shed ulti's just in time, and Accelerate, the veteran top laner, will keep his jungler alive. Kiwi goes down, but Waffle's still kiting. Bach at about half. Blade Caller available in just a second, but everyone's on Waffle. crumble, and it's Donut with a beautiful killer instinct to clean up the rest of the damage. Double kill to Dust to Dawn. Sting is cleaning up kills. Donut going huge, and Lotus crumble.
Yo, you're all missing it, man. Donut comes and cleans it up, but when we watch this replay, watch the damage that Dusk does to them in the front line. Watch this Mordekaiser. The reset can't come through for Yoshi because he gets ulted. He's in the death realm. He can't get there. You'll see it here. Dokto just gets shredded. He gets absolutely murdered here, murked by all the upfront bursts. There's the reset, but guess what? He can't do it. He's in the death realm. Now watch Dusk as he goes into his stasis, as this prison lands. Look at the damage. All 4 members, they're just burning as Kiwiism goes into the front line. That leaves Waffle isolated, and then Donut can go in and clean up the fight.
Yeah, and then the problem too for Waffle is after that fight, gets tagged by Baka. And just an auto is sufficient to begin proccing that permafrost, unfortunately. And the moment that permafrost lands, you're dead. But great, as you said, 1-2 punch there. Dust to Dawn, if he can zone out these fights, if he can make that much space for Stingus more than Donut Maker in these fights here, they can get that poke down, they can get you low, and then we could see that killer instinct come out from Donut Maker and just play Janitor, just clean everybody else up.
That was beautifully done by Dust to Dawn. Not even seeing it the first time around, but thankfully DJ is here to back me up because that was pixel perfect from Dust to Dawn. This top lane hasn't been a huge point of interest for us all night, if I'm going to be honest, but that play right there wins you games outright. Is that enough to close out this one? Obviously, but it puts Who Flashed That Fight one step away from forcing Game 5.
Right, it's Soul again, right? They get to use this as a macro tool. Okay.
Oh, they're going again. They're going again. Yoshi having to use the ulti over the wall, but Dokto's following up. The Maokai has followed. Shen ulti from Accelerate's going to join the fight. Bak on the front line will refuse to die. Finally, going to be taken out by Waffle. Here comes the refresh from Yoshi. He's going over the wall, but not able to find all too much. Hopping himself right back away. Dust to Dawn to the run. He has no Death Realm. He's burned down into the Zanyas, but he cannot survive. Donut trying, but will fail. Zig's ulti, big damage. Waffle will barely survive as well. Close fight in the jungle, 2-for-1 to Lotus.
And there's 2 big things to note in that fight. One was Donut Maker's sort of positioning and the way he was kiting around. That is ideal play right now for this AD carry. But the second was the conspicuous absence of Stingus there. He was so far away that the Mega Inferno Bomb comes after the fight's done. Dust to Dawn bought so much time. Literally, if it had been anybody else, if Dust to Dawn wasn't as fed as he is, that fight's over and Lotus are back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy that it even lasted that long, RMC, when they were that deep. Dokto did not intend to go over the wall with that twisted dance. There was no way. Because Dokto, I mean, Sejuani and support Maokai in your enemy's like base practically, yeah, you're not doing enough damage to clean up that fight. That is not where they wanted to be. And the fact that they got out as clean as they did, honestly, with that little loss is the most impressive part, because that could have gone extremely wrong.
Luckily for them, it did not, and only losing just barely in the end. If Stingus was there, though, can you imagine all those 1 HP members? They probably die, assuming there's a, a minefield here, a Q that lands there. Close margins here for Lotus, but they are certainly not out of the woodwork just quite yet. It is dragging up in 90 seconds, and we're already fighting over priority.
And those sort of choke points are exactly where Stingus wants to be able to pump out the damage here. So they really want to have Stingus there. Yeah, you've got Mega Inferno Bomb, but you don't have teleport. So Zig split pushing, not the ideal here. That's Dust to Dawn's job. For Who Flashed That Fight, they're at soul point. And granted, it's a Cloud Soul, so it's not quite as worrying, but when you're allowing them to stack 3, that's 36 ability haste on the ultimates, and this is a team that does play around those ultimates for engage, for disengage, and just for general zone control as well. So Lotus, you can give this up, and they might have to. Oh, interesting. Who Flashed That Fight just gave it up?
It don't seem all too interested for now, and to be honest, they don't need to be. It is not a worry if they give away one pitty little air Drake. Yeah, you get a little bit of ulti reduction here and there, but doesn't matter if you can trade something for better on the other side, but instead they just take preferential recalls.
I was going to say, they're not backing off. They're absolutely not backing off, gentlemen. This is, again, it's that your time, my time concept. You put wards down a minute 30 before the Drake. You go back to base and you reset. The enemy comes in, clears out your vision. You come in 20 seconds before the Drake and you clear it back out. We saw it again. We're seeing it again, the catch!
JVL is caught out at the worst time possible. Remember, it is Soul online for who flashed that fight if they can secure it in a 4v5.
Oh, they absolutely can, Necrox. There's nothing. I mean, half your damage is just gone. All your upfront burst is gone. Waffle Wheel, sure, he can pump it out, but it's a 4v5 without a carry. You do not want this fight.
Yeah, no, Lotus definitely, you walk away from this. You're already losing 4v4s, 5v5s before that. You need that numbers advantage. And we spoke about the fact that JVL is one of the more fed members of their team right now. But DJ, I want to go back to the idea of that tug of war, that back and forth on that vision you were talking about. And normally, I would completely agree with that. If you're vaguely even, that is what happens. But when you are Lotus right now against a composition that will want to get in there and set up all this vision, I think you pull a bit of a reverse psychology. You set up a death bush and you wait for them to come in at you. You find a kill because we already said this team needs to find some picks. They are really struggling at this point to get a full-on 5v5 engage unless Who Flash and Fight kind of gets a poor engage. So don't get greedy. Look for the 1, look for the 2, and then when you've got a numbers advantage, maybe you can get the objective yourself.
Really good stuff here. I mean, I have to agree with the game plan, but it is not the way that Lotus prefer to fight. It is not their normal game plan. Not what they like to do. They prefer these full-on 5v5s when Waffle can kite around and JVL providing that burst. But when you get caught out like that, you're going to have to give up something. And this time they pay with the biggest price in Soul.
Yeah, it's 2 guerrilla warfare for them at the moment, Necrox, and this isn't the first time we've seen it this series. Just last game, we saw the jungler Yoshi get caught out sitting on a control ward as he was trying to base. They used that to their advantage to take away the Baron, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the play. I think that was the Waffle flashing in. Meanwhile, what's going on here?
I'm looking at what's going on in the support role as well. Dokdo and Kiwi, look at the visions difference. This is why they are getting caught out. Dokdo is masterclassing these wards. He is all over the place, and Kiwi simply cannot keep up to make sure his team can step in safely.
And this isn't an issue that's only happened this game. Every single game, win or lose, Who Flashed that Fight has better setup. And Lotus feels like they're having to mechanically outperform, try and find these miracle engages and picks to make things happen when all you really need to do is set up the vision. Who Flashed that Fight is so used to having the advantage there.
Okay, there's the flash stun, but Yoshi's in a little bit of trouble. There's a Stand United. Dokdo's gonna go down in just a second, but he survives. They've turned on a Donut Maker, but he's using a Killer Instinct. No one has died yet, but a shutdown's gonna be given to JVL. There's a return angle from Baka, but he's gone too far. Now Dust to Dawn trying to escape, but here's the Death Realm in just a second. Who's gonna get it on to the taunt denies, and Yoshi grabs kill number 3. Well played by Lotus as they take down 3 members of Who Flashed that Fight, and with 5 members standing, they're gonna push down mid lane.
I am shocked that worked out. That engage looked so stretched, but they just burned him down. They're looking to win.
Sting is flashing away. This is close. Base in shambles. Lotus are kiting forward. Do they want to go for the end? No. They'll peel away.
They've overstayed their welcome. The death timers at this point in the game aren't that long. Donut Maker's about to be up. Baka's about to be up. And I don't think they have enough damage to take down Baron here. I would have preferred to see them go for Baron rather than the inhibitor. You can get more with Baron here. As it stands, they've just got the 1 inhib. Yeah, they've lost Baron. You can see Who Flashed Fight barreling down mid lane. They're blitzing this Baron, and there's no answer from Lotus.
And if there's one thing that Kai'Sa's good at, it's burning Baron. Yeah, you suck at it. Like, parts of the game suck for you, but 3-item Kai'Sa, you will shred this thing.
They're going to start it up. It is Who Flashed that Fight taking advantage of a Lotus misstep, and they are going to burn down this Baron awfully quickly. Yoshi's still here, has the ult if he needs to get over the wall, but there's a lot of damage, and Donut's making it impossible to get into the pit. It's a solo kill for Donut. Sure, he doesn't play AD carry, but never doubt the damn man in the bot lane. He has no questions to be asked. It's all Who Flashed that Fight. 2 members down, both carries deleted. Who Flashed that Fight? Turn this damn game around, and they're doing it now.
They can't win. The waves aren't in their favor, but they have completely taken control. Necrox, the mistake comes to fruition for Lotus. They are fully punished for over pushing in the mid lane, and now they are on death's door. One more mistake, one more fight is all they have left, because they are about to lose their top inhibitor, and they are going to lose all map control.
The shoe's really on the other foot now. We're so used to Lotus being the ones who are threatening one last fight and we win the game. Now it's who flash that fight doing that. And it starts out with that really odd force from Yoshi there. And you can see right away, Yoshi wasn't winning that. He should have died, but that shield that came through from Accelerate right now is disgusting. It is absolutely massive. And more importantly, Dust to Dawn is not present in that fight. He's only coming in here, and he's that juggernaut. He's that behemoth who's been holding, 3-4 members back. Without him, Baka can't do it, Docto can't do it, and Stingus and Donut Maker just kind of get forced out really early or just flat out dead.
But here's the over push, right? They go for the inhibitor. You can see it. Like RMC said, they don't have the time. They know it, so they just back away. They go to base, and here comes who flashed that fight with the Kaisa. It's too big of a threat. Yoshi is all alone. He gets isolated, taken down, and then it's just cleanup time for who flashed that fight.
Yoshi going in, you're attempting to steal. That's fine, that's good. The moment he was dead, Waffle Will needs to be running. Waffle got greedy here, and then we get
snipe.
Baka's American Sniper moment right here. Max range. Oh, good.
That's beautiful. That is mechanics on a Sejuani, and those two often don't go in the same sentence. Really good stuff. Picture in picture, meanwhile. Thank
Elder,
you.
baby.
Right back to live. It is Elder up in 10 seconds. This has to be Lotus's win condition, and you can see how indexed they are into it. They are sacrificing all wave priority just to be in this river at the time when it spawns.
I mean, they do have setup for one Necrox. They will get their 5v5. The question is, can they actually win it? They really, at this point, right? It's just a
JVL is dead again at a critical moment. The fight cannot be Lotus's to win. Double kill to Donut Maker. Baka's going low, but if they cannot kill him off, there will be a smite to secure. Waffle goes up in the air with the feathers, but he's going to be deleted immediately with a triple kill, and over to the enemy. 80 carry. Sting is picking up number 4, and they will get aced for nothing. Teleports come in, and do you believe in League of Legends? Do you believe in who flashed that fight in the mastermind in Stingus? Get your silver scrapes online, because we're going to game 5.
Hell yeah, we are, Necrox. It is all the way here in Excellency Heavy League. You thought they were dead. Who flashed that fight will not go down without one.
These teams here, we talk so much about the fact that Lotus uncrowned kings looking for their first crown, and for the side of who flashed that fight, they want it so badly. They want it back. It looks so dire, and they're now pulling off the reverse sweep. They can't quite finish on this push, but Elder's up. Just go take Elder for the side of who flashed that fight.
I gave you everything. Who flashed that fight? You had to end there.
Wait,
they're going to wait a little bit longer, but I don't think...
Who flashed that fight has no HP bars.
Okay, wait, things have just gotten really real all of a sudden. I am very scared about what's going on, because who flashed that fight do not have a lot of room to work with, but Donut is sacrificing this Elder in order to try to end the game, but he cannot do it. It is slated, secured by Yoshi, but now they need to stop the recalls in order to end the game. Stingus is on Ziggs. He will take this down in half a second. JVL scatters a weak, but he just doesn't find the kill. Elder's gonna burn, but it's not gonna be enough. The base is under siege, and Stingus is doing the work. It is Donut and Stingus pop and cleanse at the same time. Lotus cannot get back. It is game over. Lotus slip away after a 2-0 lead, and who flashed that fight are one game away from a reverse sweep.
Oh my god. Could you ask for anything more? Could you ask for anything more, gentlemen? Light League was an absolute sweep. Congratulations, by the way, Necrox. Mid League, not this close. This is League of Legends, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we live and breathe and die for. Who flashed that fight looked like they were up a creek without a paddle. They looked lost. They looked like they could not overcome the scaling of Lotus. And here we are 2 games later after an e-girl brawl and a Ziggs mid Kaisa into Xayah Leona. They make it work. We are going the distance. 1 game to decide the champion of Heavy League.
And I will say this, both teams have said that they're not going to let Ziggs through. Lotus lied, and they paid the price for it. This Ziggs pick, it's just doing so much. The zoning is really good, and then just this, everything, being able to set up all the zones of control are massive. But huge props to Donut Maker. This is the first All-Pro team mid laner here who absolutely dominated in stats. I'm starting to think that Paxax got lucky, that Waffle Wheel got lucky, because if Donut Maker's an ADC, he would be the first All-Pro ADC.
I'm blown away by what has happened in this series. Honestly, I don't feel like we've been gifted enough time to talk about it. Stingus just role swapped. He's not in bot lane anymore. He's drafted, sure, but my mind is blown. I could have seen this going 3-0 to Lotus right in that game 3, but we're in game 5. This is a reality that we live in. Lotus have given up a 2-0 series, now going the distance between your former champions in VBO, whatever you want to call them, not Glaive. The throne is empty, and Lotus, who are crowned less the entirety of their time in Heavy League, were that close, but now it's a best of one. Everything rides on this game. One mistake, one moment, one carry can make the difference to write their chapter in Excellency history. We'll be right back. The Analyst Test is going to guide you until then. Game 5 coming in just a minute.
Silver screen!
I have 2 words for you: mental fortitude. And if Lotus has it, they can make game 5 contested, but getting reverse swept like this, or on the start of a reverse sweep, takes a heavy toll on your mental, especially after a game like that, which could have ended either way. Boost, let's go through this one.
I think JVL has to be kicking himself right now. And that last little thing where Sejuani was stopping all the recalls, he had teleport. He could have just teleported to the Nexus turret. Instead, he was trying to channel the whole 8-second recall. If he teleports there and makes it back to save the Nexus turret with the Elder Dragon buff and just drops his ult on one of the carries, the game doesn't end. And then Lotus just has Elder, and then they can maybe survive and do other things in the game. But oh man, that was rough to watch. But it was a banger. It was a good game. But
it was a good game, and I think, I was harping on Stingus earlier in the series. He definitely showed up on the Ziggs pickup. The type of pick that we kind of wanted him to play to begin with, this kind of like stay back, do damage throughout the fight. Obviously, the casters are really hyped about Donut Maker, who did absolutely amazing on that Kai'Sa pickup in a matchup that he should have just flat out lost. No less up against the Xayah Leona. I mean, Xayah, classical counter to the Kai'Sa. Leona should be beating a Maokai in lane, but they still make it work. And on top of that, Stingus not looking too out of place in the mid lane. Unlike last game where, it kind of felt like he was, maybe there, maybe not. Definitely looked very good. Showing his solo lane heritage, right? Stingus previously playing some of those other solo lanes. So, that's excited. Top lane, though. Not a matchup that we have highlighted all that much. It's been an island this series.
yeah, so especially in that game, the Kai'Sa was kind of down in the dumps that game, but Dusk to Dawn, man, he really brought out like his A game that game. It felt like during that whole mid game, he was basically just 1v9ing, basically taking on the whole backline of Lotus and just wreaking so much havoc. And then Kai'Sa, just got to ult in, clean up a bunch of kills at the end of fights. So she got to become like the super hyper carry. But man, that game was really, really all Dusk to Dawn. He really showed up that game.
Yeah, that's the power of the Mordekaiser pick, right? Once again, put Dusk to Dawn on a lane-winning champion. He'll win lane, and then make things happen in this mid game. And Mordekaiser picks, I mean, except for that one time when the Viego ultimate canceled the Mordekaiser ultimate, it was pretty much flawless as to his target selection and making a difference in these fights. Jungle matchup though, Baka once again showing to be a bright point on his team as well. Very clutch Sejuani game, very clutch ultimates around that Baron fight towards the end of the game as well.
Yeah, the Viego just never really got going in any of the team fights. There were a couple times where he got to actually pick up the Maokai, but never really able to use any of his abilities, never really able to keep getting those resets. Who flashed that fight really focused him really well in all these fights, so he couldn't really do much. He went for like a greedier, more damage oriented build with the Wit's End, and I think he was building Blade of the Ruin King third after the Sunder. So I probably would have liked to see him go something like Sterex or just something to keep him alive so he can just do more in these fights. Yeah, I think that was just a mistake on his part.
Well, we are about to get into the game number 5 draft. We'll see any adaptations that come out. This one going to be on Pro Draft instead of Draftlol, because Draftlol appears to be down. So that's fun. Thank
Draft
you.
Websites and bugs. Name a more iconic duo.
Hey, you know, Draftlol has been a staple of the AM scene since it was first introduced. It's very good. Pro Draft,
I like it.
Pro Draft's coming back in. You know, this old school way of drafting. Official Riot Games extremely buggy draft. Did I say extremely buggy? I mean, no, it definitely never bugs at all. But due to that, we are experiencing a slight delay going into that Game 5 draft. What do we see? What do we expect to see adaptations-wise from both these teams?
Definitely no Ziggs. You cannot let that through. And I think if they are going to go for something like the Shen again, you have to ban the Mordekaiser. You can't pick Shen with the Mordekaiser. That's basically like the classic counter now. I mean, and you obviously saw why there. There's just nothing that Shen can do. Mordekaiser answers him in every stage of the game and just beats him the whole game.
Yeah, and it was a blind pick Shen and then the Mordekaiser punish, right? And obviously the Shen pickup didn't do insanely well that game, but I don't think it was like the biggest weak spot except for that laning phase and just the fact that Dustodon was able to make that pick work. We are finally into the draft for game number 5. As soon as the scene switches, you'll see Thresh, Aphelios, and Ziggs and Seraphine have all been banned away. So there's the Ziggs gone. Lotus banning that one out. Next ban for Who Flashed That Fight will be the TK and Aurelia finally to round out the first round of bans.
Which ban?